Hey, this cut. Hey, this is Mark Goldberg from Mark Vlogs Watches, and we're going to do viewer mail in this episode. We've got an interesting letter. I'm going to go ahead and read it. But first, let's do a quick wristwatch check. It's a Breitling, guys. Steel fish, chronograph. Okay, so a quick note. I'm going to read this letter. I'm going to answer it. I will be making videos like this in the future. If you would like to make a small donation and write a letter to markgoldberg8@gmail.com, that is the place where you make the email out to, and I'll put my PayPal address up here. I'm not going to do super chats. I'm not going to do Patreon. But hey, if you want to send $5 or $10 to my PayPal address that I'll stick up here and send me a letter, then you're probably going to get a video. Otherwise, maybe you're, maybe not. Okay, anyway, take a shot either way. All right, so I'm going to look down at my computer and I'm going to read this to you. Good day, Mark. My name is Joshua Torres. And I have some questions about a particular watch and I'd like to pick your brain about it. I've been searching my first luxury watch and have fancied the Rolex 16710 BLNR Batman. In my research about this watch, I've gotten very confused trying to sift through the enormous information there is out there on the internet. So actually, before I go any further, Joshua, I have made multiple videos about this watch, the pros and the cons, and I will put them, those videos in the description of this one so that you can more easily find them. My questions are, number one, do you know if the Batman is a watch that Rolex is still manufacturing and building to this day? So let me answer that first. And the answer is, as far as everyone knows, the answer to that question is yes. Now, it is still on the Rolex website as of today, and I will throw up a picture here so you can see that. So here we are on Saturday, May 9th, and as you can see, the BLNR Batman GMT is, in fact, on the Rolex website and theoretically available for sale. But it is still on the Rolex website today, but there is a lot of speculation that it will be discontinued relatively soon, probably by next year's Baselworld. That's speculation, but that's what word on the street is. But right now, it is theoretically still being manufactured and sold. You then say, I was under the impression that the production on the Batman ended in 2016. I keep running into that year's model, but no further. So the answer is, no. Not correct. If they manufactured something in 2016 and they sold it in 2018, they're considering that a 2018 watch. So, and frankly, nobody, the Rolex factory is closed, so nobody can tell you if the last one has been made or not. But the last one has not been sold. That much we know, and it's still on their website. Number two, if Rolex is indeed still producing this watch, could I find one of these at an authorized Rolex dealer? The answer is yes. But, and the but is, you take your chances. It's very unlikely that you're going to find one in the authorized dealer because it's in quite short supply. And not only that, but the authorized dealer is very likely to call a good and regular customer who has purchased $50,000, $100,000 worth of watches from them in the last 6 to 12 months and offer them a Batman before they're going to put it in the shop window and offer it to you, who they don't know. So could you find it in a dealer? Maybe, but is that going to happen? In all likelihood, no. That's a real long shot. Another question was, I am well aware that most dealers will place buyers on a waiting list, but what are the chances of me just waltzing into an AD? Well, I think we discussed that already. Your chances are, your chances are crappy. That is, unlikely to happen. Is that non-existent or is it a fair option? It's like non-existent. It's your chances are 1 out of 10 that that's going to happen. How much should I be spending on this particular model in the used market? Well, you can use Chrono 24 as your guide, and what I can tell you is these guys are pushing anywhere right now between $9,500 and $10,000, $10,200, which I think is crazy because they have popped up, easily $1,000 in the last year, but that's the reality of where we are right now. How much should I be spending on this particular model in the used market? As I said, it's going to be between $9,500 and $10,000. If you find a reliable source for this watch in good condition with box and papers for under $9,500, jump on it, because if you don't, somebody else is gonna, and fast. Let's have a quick look at some pictures of my Batman, and I'll talk you through those photographs, and then we'll move into the rest of your questions and finish this up. The Batman GMT is really quite a gorgeous watch, and it shows itself off better than anywhere else in natural or direct sunlight, whether you're near a window or outdoors. Indoors, it's gonna look kind of darker, but boy, when the sunlight hits it, it's just brilliant and gorgeous. I like this picture because I took a macro of where the blue and the black meet. That's something that you should look at under a loupe or just blow it up with your camera, and it's really cool to see how precise that line really is. And here you're getting a look at my two favorite Rolex watches that I own, which is the Batman on the right and the James Cameron Deep Sea Edition on the left. Okay, you say then, I know the Rolex website prices the Batman at $89.50. I've come to accept that's not going to be the price point on a used one in the current market, so I'd like your thoughts. You've seen them as low as $10,100 and as high as $13,500. Don't pay $13,500. $10,100 is probably a fair price. So here's just one last thought that I would like to mention. You've heard this over and over and over again, and I'm going to repeat it also. Buy the seller, not the watch, okay? So there are a ton of Batmans out there. It's not an impossible watch to find. It's just that sellers of this particular watch at this point through the gray and resale market are holding out for the big bucks. Those of us who own this watch, we smell blood in the water, and we're not going to let this one go cheap. So if you're going to buy a Batman, I recommend that you buy the seller. And what that means is don't buy it off of eBay from somebody with 200 sales and 98% feedback. Buy it off of David S.W. Buy it off of Kenny Nguyen. Buy it from Joma Shop. That is just a recommendation. Or trusted sources in the Rolex forums. You might also take a look at an app called Watch Recon, and you might get become approved and familiar to everybody in the Rolex forums. And the reason that I say that is because there are a group of people who buy, sell, and trade watches, but you have to be sort of, on the known list. You have to be a trustworthy buyer. And if you purchase a watch from a trustworthy seller, your chances of getting a better deal and a better watch with no Franken parts, with no problems, your chances, and a fair price, your chances are much better. Remember, when anybody sells a watch on eBay, they are taking risk of fraud, so they are going to mark the cost of that watch up to accommodate that risk. Also, eBay charges 10%, and that's not a buyer's premium. The seller pays that, and then the seller gets paid by PayPal, and that's another 3%. So the seller of that watch is getting ripped off to the tune of 13%, and that does not even account for his risk, because there is substantial risk of fraud. The buyer could pull a fast one, and all the protections on eBay and PayPal are heavily oriented towards protecting the buyer, not the seller. So I have to say it's a reasonably safe pace to buy if you really know what you're doing and if you are confident that you can get a watch authenticated and so forth. But I think your chances of having a smooth transaction and getting a good watch and a reasonably fair deal is better from a known source in the gray market, unless you're really expert, in which case then you can go just to the open market. But you're gonna pay a premium for this watch, but I'm gonna tell you something, even though I made a video called 5 Things I Hate About the Rolex Batman, on balance, it's a fantastic watch and I really love it, and I think you would too. Tell me what you think in the comments, guys. Please subscribe to my channel, and hey, send me your questions and a couple of bucks. Thanks.